Hello. This is the last video I'm making for the literature class. It's a bit sad really, because I've enjoyed making all these videos and working with you. So this is the last one before the exam next week, next Tuesday. So let's have a look at the things we've done to help you prepare for it. Okay, look at these books here. I hope you've read some of them. Let's see what we think you've learnt. Same as we did in language last week. What do you think you've learnt? Then I'll tell you what I wanted and hoped. 2 minutes, think. You can pause the video. Okay, so what do you think? This is what we've done, but of course we know that doesn't mean that's what you've learnt. I've put the books in red so you can see all the books that I've shared with you, and I'm pretty sure you haven't read many of them. I'm slightly disappointed that people haven't read more, but I do know it's difficult on your phones. Okay, so we started with some simple lessons, simple stories and texts, poetry, and all those other ones before Christmas. Then we went on to short books, Greta Thunberg's I Am Malala, then We Should All Be Feminists, and in the middle doing children's literature and that fantastic children's bookmaking project. Then it got more complicated. We're looking at opinion, fact, bias, fake news, then African literature, critical reading, descriptive literature with all the senses involved, symbolism and allegory, for example, in Animal Farm, and then different types of other types of genre, graphic novels, The Little Prince, and again, more phantasmagorical literature, post-colonial, famous authors. My favorite one was Exploiting Leaflets when I was in Bissau. And then I wanted you to start writing some of these different genres. It's not just reading them and awareness of literature, but it's the ability to write and use these genres convincingly as well. Went on to magical realism, The Alchemist, sci-fi lit, Fahrenheit 451. I don't think many people read that. I think you liked The Alchemist though, from your comments and writing. One of the main points of studying literature is to think about how to introduce it to English classes. So please think about what you can do with all of these things we've done in classes to inspire students, to get them to read more, share these PDFs with students so they can read them. We might as well get people to read as much as possible. Then we looked at experimental theatre literature, and then theatre. We did those lovely plays that I recorded. Functional literature, revising genres, and 2 weeks of presentations, and then today's session. So these were my objectives. First of all, I want you to pause now to see which of those you think we have covered in the classes. Pause for 3 or 4 minutes. Okay, what do you think? I think the 3 red ones still need work. It's impossible to do all of this, but I think you need more work on textual features and devices. I was hoping that you would talk more about features of literature in your presentations, but I think we still need to do some work on that. No time now, but maybe in your own time. We haven't been able to analyze many texts, basically because this has been a distance course and through video. And you all need more practice in identifying genres and the writer's voice, different types and styles and genres of writing. And that might come up in your exam. So you need to work on different genres. So going back over these things, do you remember poetry? What we can learn from poetry, all these different ideas. And remember those poems we did that you could use in class and get students to write. Remember reading aloud and silent reading? Are you convinced yet? Pause this for 2 or 3 minutes to have a look, to review. Okay, and if you want more arguments with me about this, you're very welcome to carry on arguing. What about teaching reading then? This is the main aim, isn't it? So we can teach students to read. Can you pause this now and match the reading sub-skills stages in red with A to F? Pause now for 3 or 4 minutes. Okay, so yeah, prediction number 1 is F. Scan read number 2 is D. Gist read or skim reading is E. 4, detailed understanding is B. Focus on new language is C, and that can be vocabulary or grammar. And using the ideas and the language productively is A. So that is a typical staged reading lesson. So we need to predict first, then get the overview, scan or skim or both, then read for detailed understanding. And only after that will the learners have the brain space to focus on the new language and use the ideas and language productively at the end. Is that okay? Okay, so more words now and terminology. Can you apply all of these words to I am Malala? Do you know what they mean? Pause for 3 or 4 minutes and discuss the words. Okay. Do you know what they mean? What's the genre of I am Malala? Protest? Fiction? Non-fiction, sorry. Persuasive? Okay, what's the setting? It's in the setting of conflict and a setting of a girl wanting to achieve something in society. Okay, you can go through them and discuss. But we need to move on. Can you apply these to Greta Thunberg's book? Okay, 3 or 4 minutes to discuss these words related to her book. Okay, so what do you think? What's her genre? Again, protest, non-fiction, persuasive, political. Okay, what's the major conflict? It's Greta against the world, or Greta against politicians, or young people against older people, or people against the climate change. Moving on to children's literature. Which of these do you think are the most important? So pause now for 2 or 3 minutes and discuss. Okay, I think number 4 is the most important thing with children. When we're talking about children of 2, 3, 4, 5, very young children, using lovely little picture books like the ones you've made, if you get children to enjoy reading when they're young, you change their lives, because then they will actively look for books afterwards. It's not studying, it's enjoyment, and then they will learn so much more later on. I think they're all important, but for me, number 4 is the most important. Then we have all these different types of plot, remember? All these archetypes. I want you to read and match 2 or 3 minutes now. Okay, ready to see the answers? These are the answers of those types of plot or archetypes. And here are some more examples. For example, rags to riches, yeah, poverty to success in life. Cinderella is a very good example of that, where she marries the prince. Totally unrealistic. Okay, so I'm going to ask you about some genres. Right, this one here. What genre is it? How do you know? Pause for 3 or 4 minutes to think, read and think. Okay, so what is it? It is feminist literature, non-fiction. How do you know? Because of the type of vocabulary, the phrases, the scientific terminology, for example, the facts. Okay. Looking at her book, We Should All Be Feminists, and that was part of her book. These are some of the terms we can use and the analysis. Okay. What about conflict? What types of conflict are in Chimamanda's book? Pause for 2 minutes to think. Okay. I think it's more the external conflict of person versus society. Some internal conflict as well. Is it also person versus fate, the fate of being a woman or a man? Person versus nature, against your internal nature? Person versus person, feminists against non-feminists. Lots of different types of conflict there. Okay, this is genre number 2. What genre is it? How do you know? Pause the video for 3 or 4 minutes to think. Okay, so what's the genre? The genre is estate agent English. So an estate agent is the company that buys and sells houses. And this is obviously an English estate agent with a very typical English house. Okay, very nice big house, 4 bedroomed and a garage, and yeah, very nice. How do we know it's estate agent English? Because it's the vocabulary and the language. It's persuasive. It's very well presented. It's a particular feature. It's must be seen. It's trying to persuade us to buy. So this is persuasive advertising language. And the series of adjectives to describe the property so that people will come and see it and buy it. Non-fiction as well. So thinking about facts or opinions and bias, can you think about some of these other ones that you've read? And can you remember any examples? Talk to each other about examples of facts, opinions, and bias for about 3 or 4 minutes, and pause the screen now. Okay. Okay. Number 3. So, what is this genre? How do you know? And also, I want you to find some features of literature here. Okay? Pause the video now for 3 or 4 minutes. Okay? So what's the genre? I think it's definitely descriptive literature. It's a very, very beautiful description of this lake and river. It's slightly, could be travel literature as well, but we're not sure just from this excerpt whether it's about traveling or this is just a part of the description from it. Which features of literature did you find here? We've done this before. This is a review. Here, the simile in blue at the bottom, as if, beautiful language, as if the morning were eternally drowned in dreams. This is very, very nice, descriptive, beautiful language. The metaphor, which is describing it, comparing it to something, but not saying as or like. Bathed in cool breezes, dozing, a boat dozing. That's also personification. Shadows made of light. Then we have an example of an oxymoron. Unquiet, calm, 2 opposites together. Beautiful imagery is the realm of forbidden creatures and invented its existence. Very, very nice. Making creating lots of images in our brain as we read. Here are some more. Can you please match the literary devices or features, A, B, C, D, E, with the definitions 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Pause for 3 or 4 minutes to match these now. Okay. So a metaphor and simile, these are number 2. Onomatopoeia, B, is 4. Oxymoron is 1. Those opposites. Parallelism is 5, like I have a dream, which is repeated and very strong in a rhetorical speech. And personification is number 3. Remember all these features and see if you can give examples of them. Okay, can you remember this one? What was this? This, of course, was Animal Farm with all the symbols and allegory, talking about politics, but telling a story about animals. Do you know these words? Allegory, symbolism, and metaphor? You can pause now to fit them into this short text about Animal Farm. Pause for 3 or 4 minutes. Okay, I'll leave you to check that by yourself. Number 4, what's the genre? And how do you know? Okay, pause this for 3 or 4 minutes so you can read and think. Okay, what do you think? So this is travel literature, and of course it overlaps with descriptive literature as well, lots of adjectives. I love travel literature because travel literature takes me to other places. And if I can't travel myself all the time, I love to read about other places and imagine going there. If it's a good travel writer, they will take you there with their words. So how do you know it's travel literature? Okay, it's talking about things from different cultures. Patamona Amerindian chief, Great Spirit Maconaima, the tribes, the Potaro River, so different things. It's non-fiction, isn't it? Because it's real places it's talking about. Travel literature always has little anecdotes as well, little stories which could be slightly creative, and telling little stories about the past as well. Very descriptive, describing the person looking into the pull of the earth, running their hands. All the different senses are described. Touch, sight, hearing, for example. Which of these genres is your favorite and why? I want you to think now and talk to someone else for 5 or 10 minutes about some of these genres. This might help you with your literature exam next week. Think about one which is your favorite and give examples of the genre and discuss some of the features associated with it. Okay, can you do that now for 5 to 10 minutes? Okay, I wonder which are your favorite genres. Personally, I like a lot of them. I love magical realism. I love experimental literature. I love travel literature, symbolism and allegory. I do like literature about English teaching, but because I'm getting old now, I can't be bothered to read much more of it now. And I love feminist and persuasive literature and children's. I like them all. Which one do you like best? Okay, what about the different styles of writing? How are they different? We looked at all of these last week, remember? Can you remember examples of each? Pause for 2 or 3 minutes to describe some of them to your partner. Okay. If you're confused about any of them, you're very welcome to ask me in the WhatsApp group during the week to explain anything more. For example, the difference between objective and subjective writing. So you can use these phrases productively. What about these people? Do you remember? Who are they? Pause now to see if you can match the people with the pictures. 2 or 3 minutes. Okay, so who are they? So Geoffrey Chaucer is the one on the right. Charles Dickens is the one on the bottom left. Jane Austen, the only woman, is the top right. George Orwell is the bottom, the one with the BBC camera. He wrote Animal Farm, of course. And William Shakespeare is the one in the middle on the bottom. So really famous English literature stars. Do you know anything about them? You should know a bit about Dickens, Orwell, Shakespeare. We haven't covered Chaucer and Jane Austen very much at all, but you can look them up, of course. Number 5, what's this genre? How do you know? And how can you use this genre in English classes? 5 minutes to discuss those 3 questions with your partner. Pause for 5 minutes. Okay, so what's the genre? We know this genre. This genre is theatre. That's a genre, isn't it? These are one of the plays we did the other day. Remember? Lemon and Mint. How on earth did we live before Lemon and Mint? Lovely play. So how do we know it's theatre? Because it's speeches, because it's because of the punctuation, like exclamation marks and ... because of the stage directions, like together, because of the names of the people who are talking, because of the spoken language used, not full sentences. So we know it's theatre. How can you use theatre in English classes? Any ideas? You can act out some of these plays, can't you? We did a lot of ideas about how to use theatre, how to get students to act out plays. Have you tried anything out? Maybe you can report on them later. So your homework. I want you to revise everything we've done in the literature classes, depending on how much time you've got. You can re-watch the videos on YouTube. They're also being posted in the WhatsApp group. You can also, of course, read parts of the PDF versions of the books. Also, of course, you can read those books later. When you've had a rest in the holidays, start reading some of those books. And of course, you can ask things about them later. I want you particularly to think about the genres and the features of literature and how you can use what you've learned in your English classes. Those 3 things. Good luck. Your final exam is next week, next Tuesday, and I'll see you later. Good luck. Bye.